everyone, it's Michelle Stewart from BodhranExpert.com and welcome to this video where I'm going to show you how to make one of my favorite go-to tippers. This is one of the tippers that I made at the Gaelic College this past summer with my students. So every Monday afternoon after all of our classes, we gather around, usually underneath a shady tree because it's usually quite warm, and I bring all the materials and we all make a skewer tipper that will forever remind us of our time together there. And it's definitely one of my go-to tippers now. I call it more of a top-end style playing tipper because I use it for when I want to play rhythms that really lend themselves to, say, double downs or double upstrokes. I made a video showing you how to make a skewer tipper for practicing, but that was more for if you didn't have a drum or a tipper, and you can make this little skewer tipper to play on a clipboard or a binder or something like that. But this tipper is going to be much more finished, much more professional actually, and it will become one of your favorite tippers, like it has become one of mine. So this is what I call more of a top-end style playing tipper. So I'll give you a little sample of what it sounds like. It's great for when you want to play, say, 2 downs or 2 ups in a row. So if you want to play some double down reels or... Okay, so this is what you're going to need. Wooden shish kebab skewers. They come in a pack of 100, and you can get them for $1 for 100. I think these came from Walmart, but if you can, go to Home Hardware in Canada, because Home Hardware, they just have it down. Customer service, nice people, especially the Home Hardware in North Sydney. Big shout out to you guys. I just make excuses to spend more time in there and spend more money there because the people are so nice. So big shout out to my Home Hardware guys in North Sydney and girls. If you can get the 10-inch skewers, they're for some reason a lot easier to cut than the longer ones that are probably about 12-inch, because we don't want them that long, and the longer ones are a nightmare to cut. So if you can get the 10-inch ones, even the better. I don't know if the longer ones are just more green in the wood, I'm not sure. Okay, so you're going to get a pack of 100, but not all of them will be ideal. Some of them might be really flat or splintered or banged up. You're going to pick about maybe 17, 19 to 21 of them for your tipper. Now, I have 21. Let's try to get that lined up. I have 21 skewers in this tipper. I tend to go odd numbers. So I made this tipper, loved it. I played it a lot at the Gaelic College in the summertime. I played it when I performed with Matt McIsaac a few times. We did a 25-16 Bulgarian tune. We did some cool jigs. It really lent itself to some of the nice jigs. And I also used it when I played a duet with Troy McGilvery on the piano. And yeah, and everyone seemed to really like it. It sounds great when it's mic'd as well. So I made one of these for one of my local students here in Scotland yesterday, and I put 21 skewers in it. And then when I tried it, it felt a lot thicker. So just know that the skewers basically are just shish kebab skewers. They will vary in thickness, and so I found that the 21 sticks that I put, or the skewers I put in the stick I made for Violet yesterday, was a little bit on the heavy side for me personally, but just know that the skewer thickness will vary slightly. So the number of skewers that you use in your tipper will depend on the thickness. So if if a little bit thinner, like these ones, I don't know if I can hold my hand steady enough there, I use 21 in here. But the 21 I put in hers that ended up being thicker actually sounded really good on her really thick-skinned Belgarth drum, so that worked out okay. So shish kebab skewers, we've got those. Then the next thing we're going to need is electrical tape. Now you can just buy black electrical tape, but you can also buy in Home Hardware big wraps of 5 different colors. This is a really great project if you're a teacher and you have a class filled of 30 kids and you want to entertain them for some kind of musical education week. This is a super project for kids, and it's inexpensive. So if I'm doing this on a budget and I really don't want to spend a lot of money, I'll use electrical tape as my main wrap all the way up the stick. But just know that this stick, and most of what I would recommend to you if you're a player and not just a hobbyist or trying this for the first time, if you're a serious player, I would definitely put a rubber wrap on that. So there are a couple of different things that you can use to wrap the stick. And the reason that you want to maybe spend a little bit money on this section is because you want to be able to hold the tipper in a nice relaxed grip and not have to worry about it sliding, your hand sliding up the stick. So the electrical tape is a little bit more slippy. So here's my personal preference. Tennis racket grip, okay? This is, what, $8 for a pack of 3, and you can get white or black, and it really is a nice padded and it's rubbery grip. Another thing that you can use, I'm actually going to try this in the video that we're going to make today. We're going to use baseball bat wrap. So that's, I'm anxious to see what that feels like. It feels quite padded, which is nice. Another thing that you can use is, this is like bandage for using to wrap horse ankles and things like that. So it's quite stretchy, and I'm still on the fence whether I like it that much or not. I've wrapped it around my ebony tipper. I'll try to hold it up nice and close here. And it kind of goes a little bit bobbled like that, like a bobbled sweater that you've worn, that's been worn too much. But it wraps around a tipper, any tipper actually. If you have quite a slippery stick, you want to add a bit of grip. You can wrap it around any tipper and it kind of sticks to itself. So that's actually, you know, if you have that around your house, some people already have that in their home. That's something that you can use. You don't have to go out and buy something specific. I'm still on the fence whether I like it or not. It does give you more of a grip than nothing at all. And then the other thing that you can use is hockey tape. Now, I bought this thinking I was really clever, Superman hockey tape. And I thought it would look great. But once I wrapped it on the stick and I was going kind of diagonally up, or spiraling up, the logo kind of got lost. So it might look great just at the top, but it didn't turn out the way that I thought. But you could use any kind of hockey stick tape for that. So those are a couple of different grip options. You don't have to go out and buy all of those. You can just pick one of those, or just try it with the electrical tape, and you know, for the first time. Right. The other thing that is really quite essential is the O-rings. And this is this black ring that I'm going to use to slide up or down the stick. So if I wanted it to sound kind of like a solid tipper, I would put it quite up close near the top. Or if I wanted more of a raspy sound, I'd slide it down to the bottom like that, okay? Or even all the way down. To be honest, I actually hold it. I actually keep that ring pretty well up there all the time because I like that raspy sound. Quite almost like a brush stick, right? So that's very similar to the sound that I get from the brush stick that I use at the end of my solo. It's not exactly, but it's close enough. So if you want a brush sound, this is a great tipper. Okay, so we've done the skewers, we have the O-rings, we've got the wrap. Rubber bands are handy to have. So you want to have some rubber bands on hand for holding the tippers together. And let's see what else we have. O-rings, scissors. You need some scissors for cutting the sharp pointy bits off the stick. We're gonna actually cut those tips off. So you can use garden shears or garden snippers if it's really hard to cut. But if you have strong scissors, that should work. And then lastly, I think is sandpaper. So I'm just using 120 grit, and that is going to take off that sharp corner. That sharp corner. I'll show a little picture in the video here of comparing the sharp corner versus the smooth. Sand it down. Let's pick one that's already sanded down. Oh, I think I've messed them up now. I had one that was sanded down to show you. I'll put a picture on screen. And then, so we're going to basically take that edge and we're going to, take the corner off of it. I'm not showing it very well there, but, and then we're going to use, I think this is 1200 that I have here. And if you can't find the really fine papers in the wood section of a hardware store, you might want to look in the automotive department where the fine papers are. Right, so I think that was all the materials. Let's get started making our tipper. Right, okay. So we'll take a skewer. We're going to check the stick first to make sure that it's not too bashed up. I'm just going to take my 120, and I'm just, as I sand, I'm kind of like rotating the stick like that, just to kind of, I'm just going one direction and getting that corner off, and rotating it. And then I'll check that out, might get a little sharp bit off the top, and then do the same with the other sandpaper. Now you could use maybe instead of 220, you could use a 240 grit paper or 400. I find that anything rougher than a 120 is kind of makes the wood splinter more. But anything too smooth, you're standing there all day. So I find that the 120 and the 1200 are actually quite a good combination. So the more time that you spend at the sanding stage, the safer it'll feel to use the tipper on your drum. It'll feel, if you don't sand it down, you'll be worrying that you're going to scratch your skin. I have seen actually some professional makes where people have paid $40, $50 for a particular tipper. I've seen those tippers scratch the skin. So you're not going to really do any worse than any other model, unless if it's not sanded down, it's probably going to scratch your skin. So spend a bit of time at sanding, and you'll feel quite proud of yourself at the end of it too. Okay, so I'll just quickly show you the difference between the unsanded one and a sanded one. Let's see if that'll get the... Okay, so that's what you're going for. So we're going to do that for, let's say another 20, and to keep them separate, I'll put the sanded down ones in a glass. If you're outside, you can just take the pointy end and stick it in the grass. That's what we did at the Gaelic College. And so I'm not going to make you sit through and watch me sand 20 more, but I'll just give you a little close-up of what I'm doing here. I'm just going... Just taking that edge off. Okay, so you're going to do that for the rest of the skewers, and I'll see you in a few minutes. So that's 21 skewers sanded. I can kind of tell by the thickness of them, it feels like it might be a bit too fat, so I might go with 19. But one other thing I might recommend doing is, if you have bad eyesight like I do, and you wear contacts anyway, but you still need the easy readers, I would have a little bit of a closer inspection of your sanding work before you piece them all together and touch up any little ones if you need to. So first you're going to take your O-ring and just start feeding the sharp pointy ends through the O-ring, and as you start to find that it gets more difficult to fit the skewers in, I find feeding them through the middle makes it a little easier. And just be careful, the tips, the little pointy ends, are sharper than you would think. I've actually drawn blood a couple of times between yesterday and today of making these tippers, and it's pretty sore. So be careful when you're doing that. Especially in the sanding, you might notice that I was taking some of the skewers and kind of doing this, just getting that whole bit that's going to actually be the playing end, just smoothing that down, and that will get rid of a couple of splinters that are ready to come out as well. And that's when I usually stab myself with that end into the hand. Right, so that's, I know I have 21 in my glass, so I'm going to put in 19. All the blunt end here, the sanded end, and we're going to tap down the table to try to get the ends as flush as possible. Okay, and then I'm going to wrap the rubber band around the top bit here. So I'm trying to get the playing end as flush as possible. It might actually help to bring the O-ring closer to the bottom. And you know what? As you're doing this, you might get splinters as well. I'm feeling a couple. This will be covered with tape at the top end. But so here we go. We have all the pointy ends together. And we're going to snip the very sharp points off. And I find the further you go down, the more you try to cut, the more difficult the wood is to cut. So I just try to get rid of the very top little sharp bit there. And you can use garden snippers if you find that they're sharper or easier to cut with. I'm just going to use a pair of regular old kitchen scissors here. And you'll make a mess. That's why it's good to do this outside. Okay, I'm just gonna, as you do that too, the skewers will move. And so you need to kind of make them go flush again and tap, 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 and just keep snipping them down. Sometimes it's a bit of a game going back and forth. So as I tap them down, some sharper ones started pointing back up. It doesn't have to be perfect up this top end here because it's going to get taped with electrical tape. Right, so that end does not look pretty, but it doesn't have to be. Okay, this end is going to be the playing end. Okay, so this is actually, I can feel this is actually very, very smooth. Other times I used to actually take the sandpaper and like do that when it's finished, but because I did such a good job of the individual ones, I don't think I really need to do that. So now what we can do with this rubber band is we can actually leave that on there. And I'm just gonna make sure that's level, constantly tapping, tapping, tapping. And now we just have to decide what color we're gonna go with. So let's try red. Wearing red today, so feeling in a red mood. Now, the electrical tape isn't very sticky, but this is what I do. I basically just cover the top. See what I mean? It won't stick very well. But once it's layered up a few times, it will. Okay, so just do that. It's not very pretty. But you can just press it down the sides like that. And then we're just going to do the exact same. And there goes my glasses. Yeah, I wear contacts, but I need easy readers over the top of that to see really close detail. So it helps to be able to see if you've done a good job of the sanding or not. Okay, so we really just want to cover that end quite well. We want to make it a little bit, if you want it a little bit smoother and you don't want any of those sharp pointy bits coming through at all or looking very bumpy, you can put a couple of layers of tape on there. Well, all I'm going to do now is I'm going to put a bit more red around that top bit to finish it. Sorry, every time I make one of these tippers I do it slightly different. There's no right or wrong, that's for sure. Okay, I'm just gonna actually stretch it and layer it around that top bit. Make sure that I'm really going right up to the edge there to give it a bit more of a finished look. And I'm gonna wrap it around that rubber band. Okay. And now we'll put the black tape on. Okay, so just maybe just below the notch. Try that. And then we're going to go down in kind of like a diagonal. And I cover about the top 5 inches of the tipper. So it's a 10-inch tipper. It's probably more like 9 3/4 once you snip the sharp ends off. And I just use my other tipper as my guide, really as to how far down. Now one of my tippers, one of my skewers, this has not happened to me before. One of my skewers has come loose, so I'm just gonna pound that up. And I'm probably gonna bash my table in the meantime. It worked. Okay. The tape will help secure these so they don't actually move. Right. and just down a little bit further. Right, and then I'm just gonna snip that. So that's roughly what it looks like when I take the O-ring down. Okay, and I'm just gonna try that. Oh, I like that. I like the feel of that. So that was 19 in that one. What I would recommend doing before you put any more wrap on it is go over the length here and just smooth off any extra rough bits. So now we're going to, wrapped it with the electrical tape, but now we're also going to wrap it with the rubber grip. So that was 19, that felt quite a nice thickness. That's my personal preference, of course. Someone might say they prefer 15. So this is the baseball bat grip. I haven't tried this one before. It's quite thick and spongy. What I do is, if I start at the bottom and I get up to the top, what I'll do is I'll take some more of the finishing tape up here to kind of seal it. This is quite tacky, so I'm going to start right at the edge of the electrical tape. Make sure I cover all of that. And then just start making my way up, covering, just overlapping the very edge of that. It's a little hard to do and see for myself and then to show you. This has a really nice padded feel, even more so than the tennis racket grip, I think. I didn't quite overlap enough there, so. It's quite sticky, but you do have a little bit of leeway with taking it off if you've made a mistake, but I wouldn't want to take it off too many times. Right, you know what, I think because this is very sticky, I don't know if I'll need to go over it with the electrical tape at all. So I'm just going to snip that. And you know what, I think I will. I can feel that edge there, and I don't want to feel that, so I'm going to add a little bit more red around there. Just going to take my electrical tape. Oh, this one's not as pretty. It's going to look a little bit clumsy at the top. No, okay, this is real time here. This is to show you that not everything always goes right. This baseball bat grip is so thick that it's almost too thick at the top. So I'm going to get it to come up. I was overlapping it too much. So I'm going to have to kind of cut it at an angle. I'm going to have to cut this bit off, because when you overlap the tennis racket grip, it's fine. But this is so padded that it's just too much. So this is going to be a little bit tricky. Should be doing this to show you what I'm doing, but I don't really know what I'm doing here. Maybe if I took it off, try snipping it like that. I do like the feel of it though. I think it's going to feel really good. It's just might not look all that pretty. Right, that's what it's looking like so far, and we will get a little bit of red tape to seal it. Just like that. Again, it's a little bit thicker at the top than I want. I didn't really want to take, you know what? I don't want that so much red. I'm actually going to use the black electrical tape at the top there. That'll look nicer, I think. Why didn't I think of that before? There we go. It's a bit more of a polished look to it. Right, there we go. Okay, should we try it out? I do like that wrap. It was a little bit more difficult to work with than the tennis racket grip, but why don't we do one in tennis racket grip so we can kind of compare, okay? This is another tipper that I prepared, and it has 17 skewers in it, and kind of down so they're all even. So I thought we might do a Scottish tipper, blue and white. And we'll take our blue, just cover the tip. What some people will do is put the same color down around the O-ring as well. Maybe we'll try that. People get very creative with these when we make them at the Gaelic College in the summertime. Lots of different colors, and one of my students this year, Martine, even had moss coming out of the tip. It was really quite original. It was neat. And some people will get frustrated that as you start snipping the sharp ends off, the other ones move, and just be patient. It'll be worth it in the end. Okay, so that's our blue. I'll leave the elastic band there. And I'm just going to wrap another layer of blue. So I put the blue on crisscross over the top, and then I go right up to the edge, as close as I can get, just to kind of make it look a little bit more polished. Get rid of all those rough bits. Okay, wrap it around, la-ti-da. Okay, and we'll put some down the bottom. Okay, and it's been a while since I made a video for a while, so it's taking me a little longer than it used to. So this video has gone from all afternoon to, we're almost into our tea now. So if you hear the oven on and got the barbecue on, and it's Friday night, and we're about to go have a nice barbecue out on the deck and a glass of Prosecco. So I wish you all a good weekend, or start of the week, or midweek, whenever you're watching this. So we're just about, oh, I like the look of this one. This one looks pretty. Oh, blue and white. Okay, so I'm just going to finish that bit off with another piece of blue tape. I'm going to bring that up a bit higher so I can bring the blue down. Sorry, I'm just talking to myself here. Okay, so we're going to polish that off with some blue. The tennis racket grip doesn't have as much adhesive as the baseball grip. Now that's not very nice, isn't it? I wouldn't pay for that tipper. But I would pay for that one. Right, just attention to detail, right? So let's hear that one. And that has a good feel to it as well. So there you have them, the 3 tippers, the original with 21 skewers in this one, and then the red one with the baseball back grip had 19, and the blue and white one at the end here had 17. So 17, 19, 21, and you can see the differences in how much thinner these skewers are than the other ones. So after trying them, I think that I prefer the tennis racket grip. It's a little bit thinner than the baseball grip. I found the baseball grip's almost a little bit too thick. I like the paddedness of it, but I like the grippiness of the tennis racket grip. So I really hope that you enjoyed that and you have a lot of fun making your own tippers. Remember, pay lots of attention to the sanding because it will really be worth it. Well, there you go. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that tutorial on making your own top-end style skewer tipper. So if you like this video, please click that like button down below, the big thumbs up, and I really appreciate your support. And if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, you have to, so go do that now. And don't forget to leave me a comment to let me know how you get along, and sign up for email updates over at my website, bodhranexpert.com, where you'll get updates that I only share via email. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again in another video. Bye for now.
your face is falling off, but you could probably put some clear nail polish on that to customize it.
Yeah, I do venture a little bit on the dark side of the top end, but I'm still very traditional girl at heart.
In today's video, I'm going to share with you how I make this top end. You know, it's been a while since you make a video when you can't even get started, right?